What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Smooth Plays podcast. I'm Austin, aka Austin Plays, joined again by Dean, aka Mr. Smooth. How you doing, Dean?
I'm good, man. Ready to talk about these games. Back on the Smooth Plays podcast, the best place to be in the world, man.
Hey, ain't that the truth, brother? Nah, but yeah, we're ready to go. So we're gonna go right into it. Week 11 recap episode. Here we go. Thursday night matchup that we got last week was the Washington Commanders going into Philly, where Philly came on top. One thing I wanna just bring this up because Washington off to a real hot start in the year, but after that hot start, have they cooled down, you think?
It's the Cliff Kingsbury effect. It's like when he was in Arizona, they'd start out 4-0, 4-1, and then they would just tail off as the season goes on.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you look at Philly. They're 8-2. I was talking about how, they had that hot start and they actually mentioned it on the podcast. So they had the hot start last year. And are we gonna see the same where they off to that hot start and then they kind of crumble as the season falls off? And this was the game to kind of prove like, all right, are we gonna keep rolling or are we gonna start falling off? And they proved that, they're here to stay, at least for week 11. We'll see if that train keeps rolling, but big win for Philly at home.
Yeah, they were actually down 10-6 going into the fourth, and they won this game 26-18, which is crazy.
Yeah,
But
a 20-point fourth quarter is I don't you could look at it as like, all right, Philly stepped it up in the fourth, which clearly they did, or do you think it was more so Philly just stepping up, or do you think it was more so Washington just losing grip?
it was a mixture of both for sure, but it was definitely just Philly just has playmakers
Yeah.
like Saquon just made big plays in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter. I mean,
It's
you
Saquon.
can't do anything about
Oh,
that.
well, I won't. Yeah, we'll back to get it. I was gonna ask where Saquon is still sitting at the top spot for your pick or your favorite for that offensive player of the year, but we'll get to that a little bit later because there's some other guys we got to talk about down the road. But
Yeah,
big win for Philly, big divisional win, and they keep rolling 8-2, top of the division, man.
yeah, it's Philly's division to lose now.
Yeah. And then we're gonna move on. Okay. Jumping into your Steelers, man. What is the Steelers record right now when they don't score touchdowns?
Hey, 2-0, baby.
They are
2-0.
2-0. The Steelers are 2-0 when they haven't scored a touchdown. Do you know what the rest of the league is when they don't score touchdowns? What their
I
record?
do not.
2-19. So Mike Tomlin just getting with finding ways to get it done, and the Steelers they advanced to 8-2 on the year. They're one win away from 17. Mike Tomlin having 17 straight seasons with a winning record.
Yeah, you can lock that up. They're gonna win one more game the rest of the year. That's such a Steelers stat, by the way, to be 2-0 with only field goals. But honestly, this game was ugly. Baltimore really beat themselves in this game, I think. Three turnovers, drop passes, just missed kicks. Justin Tucker missed two kicks. They got to start having a conversation about him.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I know. I know. On Sunday I was talking to you and I brought it up. Um, Justin Tucker now gets surpassed as the most accurate kicker in NFL history. Your new NFL most accurate kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Tucker, the GOAT no longer.
I was
Eddie
actually
Pinheiro is your
I was
GOAT.
looking at the stats today. Guess how many kicks or attempts less Pinheiro has than Tucker?
I think I saw it. I want to say Tucker has close to 500 and Pinheiro has like 250 or something.
Uh, Tucker was close to five, and Pinheiro has like 120.
Oh gosh.
All you need is
Hey,
minimum 100 attempts.
plenty of room for error for Eddie Pinheiro.
For sure.
Nah, but yeah. Looking at Baltimore, man, yeah, I don't this is I think the second or this is definitely the second week I don't know if it's the second week in a row, but the second week that I've seen Zay Flowers have big opportunities to have a big play and he just drops a pass that he should have caught. I don't think that's any reason for concern. It happens. It's obviously, unless you're Larry Fitzgerald who had four drops probably in his entire career. So it was some insane stat. But Zay Flowers is still an elite receiver. Players drop passes from time to time, obviously. just I think the timeliness of his drops are very, very, to not on Baltimore side. But yeah, Baltimore, man, I mean, bend but don't break, I guess. And then Justin Tucker, you just got to convert on your kicks. Definitely, again, is another one of those games where, you know, you fall short and it's a game that you feel like you probably should have came on top.
Yeah, Baltimore, the only thing I'm worried about with the Ravens is these reoccurring themes keep happening. Like losing to the Steelers is one of them. I think they've lost 7 of the last 8 or something like that.
Mhm.
Lamar's 1-4 now. I know this Steelers team is better than past years, but still, like I said, those miscues. I don't think that's a Super Bowl team if you continue to make those miscues.
Do you think the Steelers are a Super Bowl team?
I think they're coached well enough. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't know if they're. We'll see. It's still very early. It's still
Yeah.
very early. I
My
think they.
biggest thing on the Steelers right now is just I know it's come playoff time, right? There's still guys that they gotta like. There's still like a lot of good teams that are gonna be in the mix, and they're
Mhm.
still gonna have to play a Patrick Mahomes. They're gonna have to play a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jack. One of those three or a combination of the three. Like, I mean, I just don't know if I see this Steelers team right now, at least until they show some like if they can start hanging, 24 plus points a game, I don't know if I have enough confidence in this Steelers team to go all the way, but that's a story for another day. Um, we'll get there when we get there. All right, so we're moving along though. I mean, next game on this was our biggest spread of the year. 14-point spread and the Detroit Lions against the Jacksonville Jags. I mean, the Detroit Lions absolutely dominated. The Detroit Lions are guaranteed at least one game a year where they score, basic like 50 points, I think. I think there's like one, I swear, it's one game a year where the Lions are at home, they're gonna blow a team out by like 40.
Yeah, the Lions are so good. Also, the over-under was 47.5, and they had 52 bucks. So, uh, questions in Jacksonville. I mean, you had Mac Jones out there, so you knew this was going to happen. It's just seeing 52-6 in an NFL game. It's just shocking.
Yeah, I mean that's what you expect to see, Bama playing against
Yeah,
Southeastern Kentucky State.
yeah,
Like,
not in an NFL game,
I
but it
mean,
just the Lions are so good.
it,
That's
it it really just speaks to the volume of both these teams. The Lions are just dominant and they continue to be dominant. I mean, I think they're my favorite right now to win the NFC as a whole. And then yeah, the Jags still there. I mean, 2-9. Mac Jones continues to struggle in his NFL career and I mean, yeah, I think the Jags are in the mix right now for that number one pick.
they honestly just keep Mac in there the whole year and they'll get it.
I mean, look, yeah, I mean, you get Trevor back. Like, I mean, I don't know when he's due back. If he's due back next week, I don't know, or this week. Um, but yeah, I mean, this season's washed. Like, why not just let Mac Jones get in there? Make sure Trevor's 100% good. Last thing you want is something crazy to happen and you lose Trevor Lawrence for part of the year next year. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
when you're
probably
3.
not a bad idea just to dump this year.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But moving right along, the LA Rams going into New England, cross country trip, road team, and they get the job done.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I expected out of the Patriots were feisty at the end. They were down 28-13 going into the fourth and actually scored what 9 in the fourth
Yeah.
to make it close. But I mean this was just a Matt Stafford masterclass. I mean he 295 yards, 4 touchdowns. When like we said, when Cup and Nakua are playing and you got Williams in the backfield, I mean that
Yep.
offense is lethal.
Yeah. I mean, and don't dog Stafford. Like
Oh yeah, he's
Stafford
still
is
good
it does like is he's up there in age, but he can get the job done.
for
Like
sure.
he's still one of the like more I would say I wouldn't say he's elite at this current level in his as a NFL quarterback, but I mean, he's definitely up there in terms of, if ranking, he's definitely an upper echelon quarterback in my eyes.
I agree.
But yeah, this was a game that we both kind of thought that the Patriots could keep this one competitive, keep it close. And unfortunately, I mean, they jumped off to a hot start, but just kind of sputtered towards the middle of the game, didn't pick it back up until it was too little too late. And the Patriots now fall to 3-8, and your LA Rams 5-5. So, I mean, that NFC West division, man, that NFC West division, I think it's going to be. Like that's going to be the division to watch as this year winds down because
That's
they're
the
like and all those teams are in it.
all of them, all four of
So
them.
that'll be exciting, I think, to see as the season winds down. Moving on, we got the Browns in New Orleans. Browns fall in this one, 2-8. The Saints, who you said you weren't sure if they get a win all year, they end up getting another one, advanced to 4-7. They're right on pace to get just a high enough record where they fall right into the pick number like 14 or 15, right outside the top 10 of a draft pick, and you don't make the playoffs. The worst place to be in if you're an NFL team.
Middle of the pack. Exactly where you don't want to be. I will stand by my statement and say that I will continue to fade the Saints the whole year. It was a misread. Clearly, the Browns are worse than I thought. But how many games is Taysom Hill going to have 138 yards and 3 touchdowns in?
Taysom Hill is the Swiss Army knife of the NFL. He's the NFL's Shohei Ohtani. He can do it all.
Well, I just that credit to the Saints though. I mean, maybe MVS is turning into Shaheed for them because I feel like early in the season Shaheed was a consistent, 40-yard touchdown every game, and now
Mhm.
apparently it's MVS. But the Browns were it was tied in the third quarter, and the Saints scored 21 straight in the fourth. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Browns got a call from the front office. They're like, "Hey, let's go ahead and just throw this one away so we can get a better draft pick." I don't know. I mean, yeah, 2-8. They're another one of those teams that's, I think they're better. I still look at this team and I think they're still better than what their record shows. I mean, that defense, I don't know what's going on with their defense. Because like I said, this was, Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive players in the NFL, reigning defensive player of the year. I mean, I don't know. This Browns defense isn't the same either. Kind of the same as what we're a team we're gonna talk about in a little bit, but yeah, 2-8 does not define what this Browns team is, in my opinion.
yeah, I know they've had a couple injuries. Definitely the defense has been disappointing, but we got to talk. We at least got to mention Jameis, 395 and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, I mean, look, if there's one thing that I know is that Jameis is gonna air that sucker out,
That's
and
yeah.
he's gonna get yards regardless of the outcome of the game. But yeah, I mean, 2-8 for the Browns. We'll see. They still got, there's still a lot of area they could end up kind of in that same middle of the ground spot. They could fold the rest of the year and end up being a top pick. Who knows? But this is not a team that is going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got the Indianapolis Colts going into New York playing the Jets, and both of these teams are honestly like they're in shambles. I mean, but the Colts low key are quiet. They're 5-6. I mean,
I think the Colts can make a little noise here, as long as if AR looks like he did on Sunday, because he looked good.
yeah,
Uh, he was 20 for 30 passing, so his best, completion percentage so far this year, and he also had 2 rushing touchdowns.
yeah. I mean, yeah. As long as yeah, whatever Anthony Richardson we saw at the beginning of the year, as long as that Anthony Richardson doesn't show up, like this Colts team can be competitive. Um, Obviously, a team like the Jets, man, though, again, they're just so tricky to read because this is the same story we say week in, week out. This team has the talent. You look at this roster, they have the guys on the field to get the job done and then just continue to fall short time and time again. I mean, they fall to 3-8 now. And I mean, their playoff hopes are gone. They're
Yeah.
out the door. And, now big storyline going into this week. Woody Johnson, the team's owner, they go ahead and they fire their GM. So, I mean, yeah, the Jets cleaning house and just getting ready for the off season and hitting the reset button.
I mean, they have to be, right? These were the highest expectations they've had since what Mark Sanchez
I
has been
mean, yeah, that's crazy. The thing when you say it out loud, that's crazy.
So the fact that they have been this bad, because they were better last year.
Yeah. Was Zach
And
Wilson?
yeah, and like I don't blame them for cleaning house. I just don't understand, like you said. First of all, they're not tricky because they're just bad. Like it's just
Yeah.
simple.
At
But
this point, they are just bad because they
I don't
continue to do the same thing week in, week out.
the Colts have been statistically a bottom three yardage wise defense, and I think Aaron Rodgers had under 25 passing yards at like midway through the second quarter. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is going on with this
Dude,
team?
I mean, I think everybody just gets caught up in, the Aaron Rodgers name, and they want
Yeah.
to think back to that MVP that we had in Green Bay that was constantly making it into the NFC Championship, competing in the playoffs, big games, time and time, year in, year out. And we just got to face the facts. I mean, he's coming up on 40. He's not Tom Brady. Clearly, he's not the same stature. His play style is not suited for the age that he is right now. He is a gunslinger at heart, and uh, he's been mobile in times, but his mobility is gone, and that gunslinger effect when your age catches up to you and your mobility is out the door, like you're just that gunslinger effect is gonna catch up to you. You're gonna throw games away essentially. But for whatever reason, he just cannot connect with, I mean, two of the best receivers in the NFL. Like he's got Devontae Adams, who he had in Green Bay, who's still elite,
Yeah.
and Garrett Wilson, one of the young up and coming elite guys in the NFL, and just can't find a way to click with either one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing because I agree. I was caught up in it. And I think the biggest difference between him and Brady is, like you said, their play style. Because a lot of what Rodgers was like improvising, right? Like
Hmm.
extending the play. Tom Brady's always been a guy who just
Yeah,
stands in the pockets and
quick
make.
read, get it out, get the ball into your guys' hands quick. So
So yeah, it's unfortunate though because I love Aaron Rodgers, man.
yeah.
Or at least he's done a couple strange things over the last 2 to 3 years, but I loved watching him. I'll say that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Jets season is cooked at this point.
Oh, they were cooked. They were cooked before this game.
It's safe to say that you can officially write them off.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we can check
uh,
that box off
for
for
sure,
sure.
absolutely. They've one more win than the Giants.
That's saying something. New York is in shambles right now. All right. Minnesota and Tennessee. Minnesota, a game you should have won. You went out, you handled your business. All right. Maybe not the flashiest win, but you got the job done. 8-2 now for Minnesota. And then Tennessee, a team that you consistently are, like this is, do you still think this is the worst team in the NFL?
I mean, at this point, the Jets maybe.
Well,
But not,
Tennessee's
probably
two and
not.
eight.
I think Tennessee's the worst. But I will say this game could have been a lot closer than the score looks. They only lost by 10, but they had a 50-yard touchdown called back. They had a lot of penalties in this game, the Titans.
Yeah.
Um, but credit to the Vikings, like you said, got the job done. The Titans had 13 penalties in this game.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you shoot yourself in the foot, take
Yeah,
away opportunities, that's not it's not winning football.
it's not.
The one bright spot that I see right now for the Tennessee team, I think I've touched on this in weeks past, but the departure of DeAndre Hopkins has really opened up the game for Calvin Ridley. I mean, if there is a guy, I think that, this Tennessee team can kind of, because he's still young too.
Mhm.
I think he's what, 27, 28. I mean, he's still in that prime window. And, if this is a guy that they're invested in, they can hang their hat on for the next few years, go into the offseason, get some guys to build around and get, you know, a team together that can compete like this Tennessee team. Who knows? I mean, this season's over, but who knows? Like these next few years coming up, while they still have that window, I mean, anything can happen.
Definitely anything can happen. And for what it's worth, he hasn't looked great, but I do think Will Levis has looked a little bit better than he did when he was starting.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he
He
got
was
that
a lot
spot
better.
back. He's definitely looked better from when he got benched. So,
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
all right, we're gonna move on to Miami. The Vegas Raiders went into Miami this week, and I mean, these two a lot of 2-8 teams, man.
There are a lot of 2-8 teams this year. It's this is another game though that the Raiders I think it was close. I mean, it was a 5 point
It
game with
was, yeah.
20 to go, and then 60-yard touchdown from Jonnu, and then a field goal made the Dolphins pad it a little bit. But Tua looked good.
Yeah,
That's the
Tua looks solid. You mentioned Jonnu. I think Jonnu Smith is like this is kind of a I don't know if this is a breakout year for him, but like kind of a resurgence, I think, for if they can a guy that, has probably found it looks like at least this year, I think it's safe to say that he's gonna have a spot at least next year as well. Because
Yeah.
he has been very productive, especially the last couple of weeks. And kind of taken over where Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are lacking,
I mean, yeah, this is really a Jonnu Smith option one offense with Tyreek Hill as the
which
second
is
option.
insane.
And Jalen Waddle's not even in the picture. He
Yeah.
doesn't 3 targets in this game.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's like it's so weird. I mean, I don't know if it's a coaching staff thing or, play caller thing, but it's night and day. This offense is night and day from what we saw last year to this year.
I really think it's
Even
they.
with Tua in and out, like it doesn't. It literally it's should this the play style should, you might get a little tweak here and there, but I mean yeah, it's just night and day difference from what we saw last year and this year.
I just think it's more underneath, over the middle stuff with Tua's injury concern. Like they're trying to get it out, and that's the biggest reason.
Yeah,
Um,
you could be
but
right.
we got to give one little shout out, even though they lost to Brock Bowers, 13 catches, 126, and a touchdown.
Yeah,
I
I mean, look, Brock
mean,
Bowers, young rookie. I mean, he might be inserting himself, and I mean, I'm not saying he has inserted himself into this rookie of the year conversation. I mean, he is hands down the best tight end in football right now.
yeah, I mean, it's really him and Max Crosby are the two bright spots on the Raiders. Um, and he has been, even though that team has been a dumpster fire, 2-8, not been good, Brock Bowers continues to produce every week. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, if anything, that's like he's the guy moving forward. That's your number one option on the offensive end moving forward.
for sure.
But we're gonna move along. Big divisional game here, big rivalry, arguably the best rivalry in all of NFL football. One of the greatest rivalries in all of sports. Green Bay Packers going into Chicago where Green Bay has dominated, and they continue that dominance, sneaking away with a 20-19 victory, advancing to 7-3. The Bears fall to 4-6.
This was a great game. Did you watch this game?
I did. I saw a lot of. I was on Red Zone, so I was going back and forth. But I did see a lot of this game, and I think this one just again. If I mean, hey, the Bears got a touchdown. All right, so at least they got a touchdown on the board.
Hey, they got two this week. That's more than they had the last 2 weeks combined.
Hey, look, I mean, take your wins where you can get them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this Bears team still 19 points is not gonna cut it most of the time in the NFL. I mean, say like this is just like another game, a disappointing loss for the Bears. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they actually, the recipe for winning I thought was great. Time of possession, they had the ball 13 more minutes than Green Bay. Jordan Love only had 17 attempts, 13 completions for 261.
Yeah.
So he was
I
just,
mean, yeah, I would say just I mean, and honestly, this Bears defense, if I look at this Bears defense, I like their pass defense probably more than anything on this team, uh, at least from what they've done, like produced. But yeah, just like you said, only 17 attempts and still getting 200 plus. Like, I mean, just big plays killed them essentially.
yeah, they, at least it was a good Caleb Williams game, and he led them down the field uh, the last drive to get them in the field goal range. But
Hmm.
it's just consistent, like, to find ways to lose to the Packers consistently just keeps happening. And then they get the field goal blocked. And now it's like the sky is falling in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Chicago Bears fans everywhere. They're oh, here we go again. Like another year where we're just below the medium. Like we're a below average team once again. We had all these expectations. We moved the roster around and we're just right back where we ended up. Like this is Bears fans are looking at this one saying, "Great. we got Caleb Williams. We moved on from Justin Fields just to get another version of Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's what I mean. It's very early. It's year one, but I do think this was one of Caleb's better games. He had no touchdowns, but 70 yards on the ground. Uh, I thought he played pretty good this game.
All right, we're gonna move on. We got the Atlanta Falcons going into Denver, and this game, wow.
I
I
mean,
mean,
uh,
this is why this game right here, this is the reason why I'm riding with the Denver Broncos as much as I am, because I mean this was the best game we've seen from Denver, and it wasn't even close.
yeah, this was a shellacking, as the kids like to say. Denver. I mean, I got nothing to say about this one. Bo Nix, like, he had 307, 4 touchdowns, 5 incompletions. I
Yeah.
mean, the Falcons just have no pass rush. Like,
Yeah, I say I definitely I don't look at this Falcons team and think, man, they don't have, guys that can cover. Like it is 100% a lack of pass rush and inability to get pressure on the quarterback because I mean, Jesse Bates is one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best safety in the league. And then Justin Simmons, who they picked up in free agency, again, another top level guy, pro bowler, he's another guy. And then, yeah, and then AJ Terrell is another guy. He's a Pro Bowl lockdown corner. So, like, they got the guys that can get the job done, but unfortunately, you just can't get any pressure on a quarterback. And especially in this one, being a rookie quarterback, you need to pressure your quarter. You need to get pressure on that guy.
yeah, Bo Nix are just sitting back there and having a field day. And Denver, man, what are they now? They're 6-5, right in the thick of things.
Yeah, I say they're competing, man. They're competing for that wild card spot. They're gonna be there down the road end of the year.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
like I say, I've been telling you, I'll keep an eye on this Denver team because they're sneaky, man.
And I hear you. And for Atlanta, you're in the NFC South, so it's okay.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
gonna say, yeah, you fall to 6-5 for Atlanta. This is a game, going into it, you probably would have you probably would have thought you had the upper hand on this matchup, looking at it on paper. Unfortunately, you don't get the job done, but you're 6-5, and you're still, right in the mix for that NFC South battle. So definitely, I wouldn't say an area to panic, especially with the way Atlanta has looked inside the division. So
mhm.
as long as they can keep winning those divisional games, which they still have a handful down the road, like they're gonna be all right. So I wouldn't hit the panic button if you're Atlanta.
Yeah.
Moving on, another divisional game, the Seattle Seahawks going up against the San Francisco 49ers, and what do you got to say, Dean? Because I mean, this game did not go the way that I thought it would.
Yeah, it didn't go the way I thought. I think we both thought that they would just control the game on the ground with McCaffrey. I think Kittle and Ayuk both being out are bigger. Like, we thought Shanahan can scheme around that, get
Hmm.
McCaffrey going, get this offense going, but this offense is struggling.
Yeah,
And clearly Seattle coming out of the bye had a great game plan. Credit to Seattle. They improved to 5-5. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, man, he's been stepping up over the last three,
yeah,
4 weeks.
yeah. JSN is like I said, he's another one of those young guys that is quickly becoming, one of those premier guys in the NFL, at least at the wide receiver position. Um,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, I'm not gonna say this year, but come next year, if we're talking about JSN being, a top 10, top 15 guy in the NFL at the wide receiver position, just because he's that number one option in Seattle.
Yeah.
And it's not even close at this point. DK has clearly become more of the deep ball guy, but they're looking to get the ball into JSN's hands and let him make plays. But yeah, this San Fran team, man, falls to 5-5. Seattle's 5-5 as well. So I mean, again, they're still in the hunt because this division is so close. But I mean, San Fran, this is essentially the same guy, the same team that you had all of last year, and like the same guys are on the field, but completely different outcome. The dominance that we're used to seeing is just not there.
Yeah, I mean, they're two big names injured on offense and some injuries on defense. And I don't know, man. Like you said, the dominance hasn't been there for San Francisco, but they've had years like this in the past too, where they've started off slow and, picked it up as soon as the playoffs start, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Anything can happen come playoff time, especially if they sneak in, they can find that mojo. But I mean, we're gonna move along. This is our early prime time matchup, I guess you can call it. This was the game of the week, and some people were calling this one gonna be the game of the year. I mean, anytime you see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen facing off, I mean, you know it's gonna be good. And Kansas City shows that they're human, and they finally get their first loss of the year as they fall to 9-1, and the Bills advance to 9-2.
Yeah, I thought somehow down the stretch Kansas City would score, get the onside kick, and then kick a field goal somehow because that's just who they are. But it ended up not happening. And this has got to add a little bit of, seasoning to the Josh Allen MVP case.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. I mean, not the most flashy game, 260, only one touchdown, one pick, but also 55 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. I mean, solid game from Allen. And then on the opposite end, I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I think this, like, if this was Patrick Mahomes, the same Patrick Mahomes that we've been seeing, since he came into the league, I think that, who's to say Kansas City doesn't come out on top on this one? But this is the same Patrick Mahomes we've been seeing all year this year. Under 200 yards, three touchdowns, but two picks. Like, I mean, like I said, I don't know. This something is off with this Kansas City offense.
Yeah, I agree. My Mahomes doesn't scare me because he's Mahomes. Playoff time, he'll be fine. I'm just concerned about how they're not getting Travis Kelce the ball. I mean, he had 8 yards in this game.
Yeah. I
And four
mean,
targets. Like,
yeah, I think that Buffalo just kind of made it a focal point to stop Kelsey this week because I mean, I want to say the three weeks prior, like Kittle was involved and the top guy, at least statistically. So I'm not worried about it. I think that they just kind of made it a focal point to slow down Kittle. And maybe I mean, that could be the recipe moving forward if D Hop and Xavier Worthy aren't stepping up. I mean, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have anybody to throw to and that run game's not there. Like, I mean, obviously, if all that plays in, that's a recipe for success. But,
yeah.
the Bills kind of laid the foundation for the rest of the league as to what you need to do to beat this Kansas City Chiefs team.
I think Pacheco's coming back either this week or next week. So I think that'll help their run game a little bit.
Definitely will help. So I think we'll also open up the pass game a little bit as well.
And also, Buffalo had no Kincaid or Keon Coleman in
Yeah.
that. So credit to Buffalo.
Yeah. Big win for Buffalo. We'll see. But at the end of the day, this win means nothing if you lose them in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was scared about. They're gonna win this one, and I mean, Josh Allen's 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season now.
Hey, yeah, I mean, what's his record? Do you know what his record is in the
Yeah,
playoffs?
he hasn't won, so he's at least
Exactly.
1-2, right?
So, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're not getting to the big
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
right? But we're gonna move on to our Sunday night game. This was a really exciting game. I mean, Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert. Obviously, the records reflect that this game should have been super one-sided, but we both know that, I mean, both these teams are kind of in that same echelon despite what their record shows. Um, and LA just got the edge, man. 34-27. Bengals fall to 4-7 is the big thing. That's the big thing for me.
I think like I said, I think the Bengals are just going to do too little too late, and it sucks because they're so talented, and they were down, what, 24-6 at halftime and made it 27-27 with the ball.
Mhm.
McPherson missed two kicks. But this game, one takeaway from this game was just two young QBs dueling, and I loved watching it. Herbert almost had 300, Burrow at
Absolutely.
350. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, great game from start to finish, in my opinion. Um, yeah, the LA Chargers are dangerous. Don't sleep on the
Oh,
Chargers. They are a dangerous team. And Jim Harbaugh has got experience. He's been in the playoffs. He's been to a Super Bowl. Like, I think that the Jim Harbaugh effect is kind of getting into the locker room, and this team is buying into, you know, this Jim Harbaugh, mindset. Just go out there, do your job. We're gonna dominate on the ground and just be more physical and control the game. So big win for the Chargers. And then we're gonna wrap this one up. Our Sunday night, or not Sunday night, that was our Sunday night matchup. Moving on to our Monday night matchup. I mean, Texas battle, Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. Dumpster fire for
please,
Dallas.
please put the Cowboys on at 1 o'clock. I don't want to watch that.
Nobody, yeah, nobody here wants to watch Dallas right now. I mean, America's team is not America's team at all. There's nobody that's like, man, I can't wait to watch the Dallas Cowboys this week.
You know how long they've been leading at home this season, like minutes wise?
Minutes wise, I don't.
2 minutes out of every game. Two. Every game this season, they've led for 2 minutes.
That team is falling apart so quickly that the stadium is starting to fall apart. I don't know if you saw the stadium, pieces of the roof falling off pregame. I mean, this team, man, I don't know what I don't know. I think I think Dallas has to start looking at this one kind of the same way as the New York Jets. Like it might be time to start cleaning house and just hitting the reset button.
Uh, I'm there with you, man. Like McCarthy, he's had enough time. Like they've been good in the past. Yes, this is obviously an outlier. They've had good years, but even with the good years, they haven't done anything with them. So you have that, and then you have this season right behind it after last year's playoff exit. I mean, I don't know, man. Ben Johnson, get ready to come to Dallas.
Yeah. And then on the opposite side, obviously, Houston Texans, they get Nico Collins back this week. And, they advanced to 7-4, big game, big win. And, CJ Stroud airing it out. Nico Collins only 4 catches and 50 yards on his return. But, hey, Joe Mixon carried, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Joe Mixon's been great this year. And also, Nico Collins had that. They had a 75-yard touchdown first play
Yeah.
there.
Sorry to all of our Nico Collins first touchdown scorer
Yeah.
bets.
That sucks. But yeah, Joe, this team with their injuries at receiver, why not lean on Joe Mixon? He's been great this year. I
Yeah,
mean,
and he's been established throughout his career, so he's a
yeah.
guy. He's a reliable guy you can kind of lean on. But yeah, Dallas, man. What before we wrap this up, who do you think is in the worst position, the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Jets?
I have to look at salary cap and everything like that, but just based off what I've seen, I'd say the Jets. The Jets have been so at
They've
least the
been
Cowboys
dead.
have an excuse. Dak is injured, whatever. I know their defense was bad before, but the Jets have been terrible.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this one up and then hit y'all with our Week 12 predictions in the next one. So we appreciate y'all stopping by, and make sure y'all leave a like, comment, and subscribe, share with a friend, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Yes, sir.